So, good morning, sir. I am Patrick Piribucas of B-Scream 4F, and I will discuss the salient feature of Rule 110 to Rule 126. So, Rule 110, prosecution of offenses. Rule 110 establishes the process for initiating criminal actions through filing of a complaint by the offended party or prosecutor. The complaint must clearly state the nature of the offense, the acts constituting it, and the jurisdiction of the court. And this rule ensures that criminal actions are properly instituted, protecting the rights of both parties involved and maintaining procedural integrity. Next, Rule 111, prosecution of civil action. Rule 111 allows for civil actions arising from criminal offenses to be filed concurrently with criminal cases. So these provisions enables victims to seek compensation while criminal proceedings are ongoing. So promoting judicial efficiency and ensuring comprehensive relief for those harmed by criminal conduct. Next, Rule 112, preliminary investigation. So Rule 112 mandates a preliminary investigation to determine if there is a sufficient evidence uh, to support for criminal charges against an accused or individual. So it is conducted by a prosecutor or appropriate officer. This investigation serves as a safeguard against unwarranted prosecutions, ensuring that only cases with adequate evidence proceed to trial. Next, Rule 113, arrest. So Rule 113 outlines the procedure for making an arrest. So it specifies when a warrant is required and detailing exceptions. It emphasizes that arrest must be conducted lawfully and respectfully, protecting individual rights while allowing law enforcement to perform their duties effectively. And next, Rule 114, bail. So Rule 114, it establishes the right to bail for individuals or accused of a crimes. So it's subject to certain conditions. And courts considered factors such as severity of the offense and flight risk when determining bail eligibility and balancing individual rights with public safety considerations. Next, Rule 115, rights of the accused. So Rule 115 safeguards the rights of the accused or individuals during criminal proceedings, ensuring they are informed of their rights to counsel, to remain silent, and to receive a fair trial. This rule reinforces fundamental principle of justice and due process. Uh, Next, Rule 116, arraignment and plea. So, Rule 116 outlines the arraignment process where an accused or individuals is formally charged and asked to enter a plea. So the defendants can plead guilty, not guilty, or contest with a rule ensuring they understand the charges and potential consequences. Next, Rule 117, motion to quash. So the accused can file a motion to quash, to dismiss immediately the complaint or information in order that it will not proceed to trial. So the accused can only file a motion to quash uh, under the grounds of Section 3 of motion to quash, such as that the that the that the facts charged does not constitute an offense, that the court trying the case has no jurisdiction over the offense charged, that the court trying the offense has no jurisdiction over the accused, the person or the accused, and so on. So next, Rule 118, free trial. So Rule 118, it establishes procedures for free trial conference aimed at preparing both parties for trial. So these conferences help streamline court process by resolving issues before trial, uh, before before trial begins, and identifying areas of agreement or disagreement. Next, Rule 119, trial. So Rule 119 governs trial procedures in criminal cases, so detailing how evidence is presented and witnesses are examined. It emphasizes fairness in proceedings, ensuring both prosecution and defense have opportunities to present their cases. Next, Rule 120, Judgment. Rule 120 addresses how judgments are rendered in post-trial. So, requiring court to issue written decision based on trial findings. So, this ensures clarity regarding outcomes and establishes formal records necessary for potential appeals. Next, new trial or reconsideration. Rule 121. So, Rule 121, it provides for requesting new trial or reconsideration of judgment based on the specific grounds such as newly discovered evidence or procedural errors. So this allows courts flexibility in addressing potential injustice after trial. Next, Rule 122, Appeal. So Rule 122 outlines procedures for appealing decisions made in criminal cases. So specifying timelines for filing appeals and requirements for documentation. So this ensures individuals have recourse through higher courts if they believe errors occurred during their original trial. Next, Rule 123, Procedure in Municipal Trial Courts. So Rule 123 specify rules governing trials in municipal courts, which handle less serious offenses compared to higher courts. It establishes streamlined procedures tailored to local jurisdiction which upholding dependents' right. Next, Rule 124, Procedure Court of Appeals. So Rule 124 details the appellate process specifically within the Court of Appeals. So including how cases are reviewed and what standards apply it. It ensures the appeals are handled efficiently while providing clear guidelines on contesting lower court decision. Next, Rule 125, Procedure in Supreme Court. So Rule 125 governs how cases can be appealed to the Supreme Court, including requirements for petitions for review. So this ensures that only significant legal issues reach the higher courts while maintaining an orderly appellate process. Next, Rule 126, Search and Seizure. So this article addresses the procedure of search and seizure, which can only occur under legal conditions. It stipulates that search warrant must be issued by a judge based on probable cause and outlines the proper procedures for conducting searches and confiscating evidences. And that's all, sir. Thank you.